Chapter 14. Scaling Your Business. When most people begin their entrepreneurship journey, they are usually already employed somewhere. The typical tendency of an employee is to sell their time for money, and then convince their employer to give vacations and promotions for the least amount of work. Sometimes, half the things on their resume are fake. When we get our business license, we bring a similar employee mindset to the business as well. We start selling our products to people and then convince our clients to give us more business while offering the least amount of value. If someone looks interested, we join hands with them without deep introspection. We hardly have any selection criteria that we operate with. Such businesses make some money, but they rarely grow beyond a 2-digit number of employees or proceed onto automation. As a result, the founder must be present almost all the time, and more than them owning their business, the business owns them. Another way to look at it is the following. When we were children, we played games in our backyard. Those games were all fun, not about succeeding. There were no standards in the game, and anyone could play and do whatever they would like to do. Often, we operate businesses in the same manner. Instead of making money, we quite often lose money because we cause damage to ourselves or those around us while playing these backyard sports. So, what do extraordinary companies do in this aspect? They always start with a value proposition. They solve real-world human-centric problems, which a major part of society deals with. Many of the famous companies we all know about have done just that. Uber solved transportation problems, Google solved the search problem, and Amazon solved shopping problems. People want to be a part of such a cause. Most often, people reach out and apply for jobs instead of the company reaching out to the candidates. It is a dream of many individuals to work for such companies. An excellent read on this topic is the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. When people apply for jobs, there is a selection process that they must go through. During this process, these companies usually ask attitude-related questions, because it's far better to hire for a good attitude and then train for skills on the job, instead of hiring a technically sound person who has a bad attitude. So, if you are applying for a job and you are looking for growth opportunities, you can predict it based on the kind of questions your interviewer asks you. If they are skill-based questions, there won't be many growth opportunities. But if they ask character-based questions, there will be plenty of room for growth in the organization. Think of that as a thermometer for your future at that company, and use it to decide if that is the place for you. Of course, when I was looking for jobs after completing my PhD, my focus was on the growth of my business and not at my job, so I chose the job position accordingly. Once people are trained properly, they become very productive. In fact, the productivity of the top 10 companies is so good that when added together, it becomes more than GDP of India, the current most populated country. I am not trying to compare the countries here, but trying to state that when the foundational principles are right, a company can reach $1 trillion level. The main shift that we need to do while transitioning from being an employee to an entrepreneur is the shift from being a hunter to a farmer. A hunter shoots for a prey and gets it immediately, while a good farmer plants the seeds and keeps nurturing it until it bears quality fruit, because the farmer did not apply undue pressure on the crops to grow fast. A hunter has very limited opportunities, and that is why they resort to politics and stepping on others. On the other hand, a good farmer has the power to create unlimited opportunities, and that's why they usually tend to be very philanthropic and patient. The general society may call them hopeless and a dreamer as though it were a bad thing, but in the end, their patience, hard work, and belief allow them to succeed. One of the best ways to learn this mindset shift is to work with an established farmer in the field. Before we start producing crops, we need to learn a farming mindset. My wife always thought she was killing her plants because she didn't have a green thumb. Turns out, the potted basil plant in the store needs to be divided into multiple pots to grow well. Had she not learnt this from a gardening expert, she would have always killed the plants and lost her belief in herself and her dream of having a vegetable garden. In the same way, before we start working on any entrepreneurial ideas, exotic or otherwise, We need to learn the entrepreneurial mindset by working in the field with a successful and established entrepreneur. An excellent read on this topic is the book The Go-Giver by Bob Burg and David Mann. I made the mistake of making a direct jump into the field, and I failed 5 times. That's why I had to incorporate an intermediate step like a stepping stone, a bridge from one point to another. That's how I was able to increase my probability of success significantly. Furthermore, that intermediate step helped me gather resources and grow my mindset so that I could be self-sufficient, and if in case any future business fails, I still have a financial backup afforded through my current business. Chapter Summary. Always start with a value proposition. Hire for a good attitude and then train for skills. Productivity is one of the key aspects to success. The main shift that we need to do while transitioning from being an employee to an entrepreneur is the shift from being a hunter to a farmer.